When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
He likes movies, we like movies. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. I'd buy that for $1.
Hello and greetings, this is Kotobukijake. I am here today with another in my sporadic series of reviews. I thought it would be really fun as I go through them to post some review videos vis-a-vis my Sentai limited edition sets. I had, because of timing issues, I can't do it very often, so I'm probably going to end up doing multiple titles. Probably I'm going to average about 2 or 3 titles per review. I had hoped to have 3 ready, but due to issues, I have not yet been able to finish Amagi Brilliant Park. I'm enjoying it very much so far. But I am coming to you today with 2 titles. The first being Shinryaku Ika Musume, Squid Girl, and Akame ga Kill. These 2 are the 2 that I've done so far, and they couldn't be much more different series if they tried. But they're both very, very good, and I wanted to do a nice little video talking about each one. The first one, if you follow this channel, we've talked about both of these before. I, in particular, have talked about both of these before. Septum, of course, is also quite familiar with Squid Girl, although he has not yet gotten to watch this set. This is the first of these sets that both of us got, and so far the only one, frankly, that I have pre-ordered and purchased at approximately the usual price. Part of that was, I love these sets, and Sentai on a whole does a really good job with the anime releases. They do. They do good releases at high but generally affordable prices. Like, I would say Sentai is typically about on par or slightly more than Funimation, and probably about on par with Viz in terms of their retail pricing, which also puts them very much in the same ballpark as Disney, frankly. So when you get super ultra limited sets like this, then you run a little more, obviously. But this was really cool. But they've done some unfortunate things. One is that a lot of their special sets do include soundtracks after a fashion. More on that in a bit, but this one does not, and that was disappointing. And the other is they claimed that they were making a donation to the ocean, to preservation of the planet, and which is perfect because Ika is all about that. And it was $1. I'm like, come on, with what we paid for this, they could have done 10 easy. But whatever. I did, as I mentioned, we did a sort of a pre-unboxing before. I recommend you watch the old videos because I don't want to go to all that time to do that again. But as we noted before, you've got your DVD case, your Blu-ray case, and then your box of goodies, and the book. And I am going to use the books a little bit. Guess yo? If I recall correctly, that is her catchphrase. Guess yo? Which, of course, in the subtitles, it's transferred into basically being a play on Squid, Ink, what have you. But one of the cool things about these books is that they do have character stuff. So I'm going to actually use this as a little bit of a guideline here. The main character of the series is Ika Musume, Squid Girl. She is voiced in the series by Hisako Kanemoto. And she is basically a squid who comes to the surface to punish and subjugate humans for their destruction of the ocean. And she takes the form of a little girl. I don't know if whatever magic she used to transform wouldn't allow anything more, or she just didn't think it through. They never really discuss in the series the mechanics of how she became Squid Girl. There is a mild spoiler here. There is an episode that I didn't entirely enjoy at the end of the first season, but on second viewing I liked it a little better, where she loses her ability to return to the ocean. She has become so assimilated into humanity that she becomes a girl. And she goes off on a journey of self-discovery and comes back ready and raring to go. But this show doesn't have too many spoilers. But I'm going to have tons of spoilers when I come to Akame got killed. Just forewarning. I forgot to mention, this show originally aired in 2010 and 2011. First season was 2010. Second season was 2011. And then there were OVA episodes, I think there were 3 of them total, that came out 2012 through 2014. I guess it was 1 per year. And I had actually never seen the OVAs before going through this set. I had seen the series. I had actually been watching the series roughly when it aired. Septum and I we got hold of it early on. I think I was the first one to get into it. And I loved it. And we both loved it. But anyway, let's go back to the character concept art and whatnot. These two are the Aizawa sisters, Eiko and Chizuru. Eiko is pretty much your typical no-nonsense, jaded voice of reason. She's the straight man in the series. She really is. She has a deep love for video games, which helps show her age. She is a teen. But mostly she's pretty businesslike, and she's really can keep Ika mostly under control. Chizuru keeps Ika under control in a very different way. Chizuru, you can see there, her eyes are shut. She is let's see. Yeah, they don't even really show. She is the character that you don't want to tick off. She is the quiet, dangerous type. And she is very, very, very fun. I feel a little bad for her bullying of Ika. I don't like bullies. But she's not as malicious about it as she could be. If that makes sense. And just the quiet, dangerous type always amused me. So, yeah. But incidentally, Eiko is played by Ayumi Fujimura, and Chizuru is played by Rie Tanaka, who actually is a seiyuu that I've seen in quite a few things, and I'm quite a fan of how she does things. The two of them run, and you can see their uniforms. They run Lemon House, which is a beachside shack. Really, it's on the beach. And Eiko handles front of the house operations. Chizuru is back of the house. She's kitchen. Chizuru is a phenomenal cook. She also operates as security when it is required. There's a running joke that builds and builds and builds to the point where late in the second series, Chizuru finally realizes that most people think that she is just as much of an alien as Ika. And it bothers her. She wanted to think of herself as like a normal girl. But she's superhuman. She really is. But, so they're the main, they have a little kid brother, Takeru. Right there, Takeru Aizawa. Little grade schooler, played by Miki Otani. He and some of his friends, hero worship Ika. I mean, like, they adopt her as their big sister. They call her Ikane. Basically, Ika sis, Squid Girl sis, however you want to say that. And it's kind of the fun little, brat character. Goro Arashiyama, this guy, he's a lifeguard. He is kind of dense, very much the straightforward Boy Scout type. He really believes in what he does. He is a lifeguard who's all about lifeguarding, but he is a little dense, which makes it a little easy for people to prank him and whatever. And he's madly in love with Chizuru, which makes it extremely easy for her to manipulate him. And he has a buddy who shows up in the second season. I don't know if he's in the book here or not. I'm not going to worry too much if he's not. I believe his name was Tatsuo Isozaki, played by Shunzo Miyazaki. And he's a little more, I guess, what you might call like typical young adult lifeguard, for the beach. A little more into the ladies and that kind of thing. Sanai Nagatsuki. Sanai. Sanai is troublesome. She is problematic. She is a very disturbing character. She is Eiko's friend who, the moment she lays eyes on Ika, she becomes infatuated, is a kind way to put it. She's played by Kanai Ito, and incidentally, Goro Arashiyama is played by Yuichi Nakamura. Both of those are pretty big names, too. Sanai, it troubles me. She is good for some amusement, but she is one of the weakest links in the series. Goodbye. No. Oh, God, that's a dated reference, but whatever. We also have Nagisa Saito. Nagisa means shore, so it's appropriate that one of these characters should be Nagisa. She is a sporty girl, a surfer, who takes a job at Lemon House, and she is generally excellent. She does a great job at waiting tables and all this stuff, except that she is deeply afraid of Ika Musume, which Ika loves it that one human shows her the appropriate reaction of fear and subjugation. And Ika bullies her because she can. I mean, Ika wants to subjugate humanity, and most people look at her as, oh, ain't she cute? Along those lines, we have the owner of Southwind, Minamikaze, a rival restaurant further down the beach, and his daughter, Ayumi Tokida. They are played by Rikia Koyama and Ayako Kawasumi, respectively. Ayumi is very shy. Very, 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 very shy. But her father puts her in these ridiculous headgear outfits so that they have their own Ika Musume. And when she's dressed up, she's a good waitress. She's a phenomenal waitress. She just so shy that when she's not dressed up, yeah. Her father, weird. But not quite as weird as the Murricans. You got Shindy Campbell there. She is played by Hitomi Nabatame. And then you have the Three Stooges, Harris, Clark, and Martin, who are played by Henri Katz, Seiji Sasaki, and Tetsuo Goto. They bother me. Partly because they're so weird, partly because they're obviously a dig at Americans, and partly because they cannot let a sentence go by without mentioning that they are top of their class at MIT. All four of them enter the picture because they are convinced that Ika is an alien. And they are, the typical American, the truth is out there, alien fanatics. And these three happen also to be inventors who don't generally think things through before they invent. And finally, the cast is rounded out by Kiyomi Sakura, a high school girl who becomes Ika's very good friend due to a very strange and amusing episode that Ika was trying to pretend No, Takeru and his friend were ringing bells and running away. And Ika did it, and Chizuru caught her. And it happened that it was a friend of the family. And they asked if, are you here to see Kiyomi? And Ika's like, yes. But she ends up becoming friends with her. And Kiyomi and her friends, they join Ika and they create what's called an invasion club, where they go around hanging out and consider places where they hang out together to be invaded. So overall, it's a fun little series. It's a slice of life. Every single episode is split into 3 episodes. I think there's a couple of exceptions to that, like late series, more dramatic episodes, you know. But for the most part, they're split into 3 episodes where each episode title is a play on, in the English titles at least, they're a play on either ink, squid. I think those are the main words. Somehow, ink or squid are somehow fit into the title. And it's a total slice of life. There is a progression of plot, but not a huge amount. I could tell you every single thing that happens, and it'd be minor spoilers at best. You know, it's one of those shows. But it's really, 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 really fun. There's also the whole... Ika has a miniature who shows up in a couple of Dream episodes. And there were some shorts, and that was one of the disappointments. This comes with shorts, but there's like 2 of them. And I could have sworn there was a short for each episode. I could be wrong. But if so, Sentai apparently did not license them all, and that's disappointing. However, Sentai did put out both seasons and the OVA. The only previous existence of this in America, Media Blasters had the first season. I own the Media Blasters. I need to find a good home for it. Of the first season. They licensed season 2, but never got around to releasing it. Media Blasters has a bad habit of this. They eventually dropped it. When Sentai picked it up, I was thrilled. And Sentai didn't take too long to get this set out after they picked it up. I think maybe a year. Not even that. So, Shinryaku Ika Musume. Invade Squid Girl. Actually, I think the proper English title is The Squid Girl, the invader comes from the bottom of the sea. Which is, but usually it's just called Squid Girl. But like I said, awesome set. I'm glad I got it. I'm glad I got to watch it. I love this show. Very much recommend it. And now for something completely different. In stark contrast to Ika Musume, Akame ga Kill is very much a plot-centric series. It is very much a plot-driven series. So much so that the book, the red book, appropriately enough, that came with the series, came shrink-wrapped within the series with a little sticker that said, "Caution, spoilers." I don't think I've ever gotten a limited edition set where that was the case. And while I don't like the waste of plastic, I like the idea that they wanted to keep people from just opening it up. Because, to put it bluntly, and this is not really truly a spoiler in and of itself, I will definitely be sure to warn you when I get into spoilers. To put it bluntly, Akame ga Kill is a series where people die. It is like Game of Thrones level. This is a series where people die. And if you don't want that spoiled, you're better off not looking up information on the series before watching it. Now, my understanding is that it is based off of a manga that they do change up a lot of stuff towards the end. My understanding is that most of the basic big battles, the people who die, how they die, that's not changed dramatically. But there are a few big changes there. But I haven't read the manga, so I can't comment further than that. I've also heard the manga is a little bloodier than the anime, which the anime is pretty bloody, but it doesn't get super gory. So I liked it. Like the part of me that is a little bloodthirsty, I'm human. We all have that part. I enjoyed seeing this play out the way they presented it on screen. Akame ga Kill is a very, 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 very well done series. Very well done. Visually, it's gorgeous. The animation is very, very good. I'm sure someone with an animation background will quibble a little bit with my description of it. It's not the most beautiful series I've ever seen. There probably were some moments where people went off model. There were definitely some distance shots that could have had better detail. But overall, it was a very... Incidentally, Ikamusume is also a very well animated series, but this one's a little more so. I also didn't mention, Ikamusume has only a very little bit, despite the fact that several of the characters are twisted to some degree or another, and despite the fact that it takes place at a beach where swimsuits are a frequent occurrence, it's not fan service heavy. There's fan service that is in it, but very little. Squid Girl is actually potentially a very safe series for people who are concerned about this. Akame ga Kill has more fan service, but it's not blatant or overt in most cases. And it mostly revolves around the fact that a couple of the females are endowed. Particularly Leone is frequently pointed out for that. But Esdith and a couple of the others as well. Akame ga Kill was a 2014 series. It's a little bit more recent. And it was one that I had heard a lot about. Insofar as it was heavily promoted on ANN. But I didn't really hear much about what it was actually about. I didn't really hear much that was actually the gist of the show. So when I went into it, I was actually surprised, and after a while, very pleasantly surprised. It's sort of it's a medieval-ish setting. One of the big minor issues that people had with the series was the seeming anachronisms within. For example, Akame dresses almost like a schoolgirl, Esdith has what could be considered a fairly modern-looking military uniform. A lot of people wear relatively modern-looking clothes. The Imperial arms definitely bring in some modern aspects, but the Empire is centered around an Imperial city that has sort of not really a medieval feel, but a maybe not quite even as recent as Victorian though. Like it would, maybe 14th, 15th century. I'm not an expert on the different centuries, but you know what I mean. Like it's old, but not old, and it mixes together. Definitely a fantasy setting, and it starts with this dude Tatsumi, who encounters some dangerous beasts and takes them down. And he is a country bumpkin who is heading toward the Imperial City to make his fortune as a soldier for the Empire, so that he can then send money home to his very, very poor community. And that is Tatsumi, right there. Pretty ordinary guy in a lot of ways. He is played by Soma Saito, and he gets to town and is immediately fleeced by this woman, Leone. Leone immediately comes across as sort of the slightly older, very busty. She comes across as sort of the booze hound character and also the mercenary character. But she's friendly to Tatsumi. She treats him well. She just takes all his money. And that's a minor spoiler, and I should have said that ahead of time. From here on out, there will be spoilers. Just be aware of that. I will say, okay, before I... even going through the characters, it's hard not to give spoilers. I'll go ahead and mention the main cast. I'll try and show the main cast, and then we'll talk a little bit about who they actually are and the story. Well, yeah, we'll do that. At the very least, some of them. No, I can't really do that. Okay, so what we'll do is, if you have no interest in any spoilers, you want to go into this show blind and learn everything you can as you watch, you probably want to go ahead and turn off in just a minute. I'll just go ahead and say Akame ga Kill is a show about war, about conflict, about people who are trying to do the best they can, the best way they know how, even if that makes them murderers. And there are people on one side who truly believe they are right, and there are people on another side who truly believe they are right. And one of the cool things about the show is that there are people on both sides who the audience might think are right. It's really interesting the way they present these conflicted, complex characters. I really liked that. I really, really, really did. And I recommend the show for that. I'm going to go ahead and mention the awesome music. The opening theme of the first series and the closing theme of the ending series are both by Sora Amamiya, who is the voice actress for Akame. The first one is called Skyreach, and the second one is called Tsuki Akari, Moonlight. The closing theme to this first series is Konna Sekai Shiratakuna Kata. I didn't want to know about this kind of world, which is appropriate for the series, by Miku Sawai. And the opening theme to the second series is called Liar Mask, and it's by Rika Mayama. All four themes are pretty dang cool. And this is one of my big peeves with this series, with Sentai's release of this series. The soundtrack collection contains 3 discs, pretty awesome music. The first theme is called Les Chants de Roma, and it's pretty awesome, and it is featured prominently in the series. But not a single one of those 4 songs is on the soundtrack, and there's 3 discs! Geez, Sentai, couldn't you spring for a little more for those songs? They're awesome, and I was so happy that this came with a soundtrack once I started listening to themes. I'm hoping I have better luck with the other soundtracks from these sets. You know, I'm just saying. But anyway, so that is that. Again, my apologies if you really don't want spoilers. I would advise you to probably just go ahead and tune out the rest of the video. I do appreciate you watching thus far. It's a series that's very spoiler heavy, and I don't want to ruin it for you. And then, so for the rest of you, we'll go ahead and start going through the characters. The main guy comes into town, gets fleeced by Leone, and then he's sitting on a corner wondering getting ready to sleep on a street corner because he got nothing else to do. And this kindly little girl comes up and says, it's like, oh, look at this guy here, look at him. And then her vassals or whatever, the people with her are like, are you sure? You picking up another one, and You find out later what that means. And she's like, oh yeah, and she's like, would you like a place to stay for the night? And she and her parents are just wonderful, delightful people. Tatsumi has a wonderful night. He goes to bed. During the night, he had heard rumblings of this in the town. During the night, a band of assassins called Night Raid comes calling. And the point person for the group is Akame, who is, again, voiced by Sora Amamiya. And she is a quiet, serious girl who wields a blade known as One Slice Kill, Mursame. Then there's Leonie, who is played by Yu Asakawa. And she wears a belt called King of Beasts Transformation Lionel, which, of course, when she is transformed, she has, leonine traits, and she's super fast and strong and can heal like nobody's business. She's kind of Wolverine. Especially if you think of X-23 Wolverine, in a sense. And I'll back up a moment. There are a group of weapons called Imperial Arms. And the arms I'm mentioning are the Imperial Arms. They were created several generations ago by the Emperor and scattered around the kingdom, ideally as a way to protect the kingdom. But they have become major pieces in the war between the Empire and the Resistance. And then you have Mine. Mine is almost completely or you think at first, she's almost completely the stereotypical tsundere loligoth. I mean, she kind of holds all those into one. You come to find out the series explains her bubblegum pink coloring by saying that she's a half-breed with a group that a tribe to the west that the Empire does not care for, and she joined Night Raid because of her history being tormented and treated badly as a half-breed. Leonie grew up in the slums, which is part of the reason why she's so scrappy and mercenary. And Akame was raised as an assassin. She was raised to be an assassin. So, mine has a weapon called Roman Artillery Pumpkin, which looks kind of like a giant gun with a sword on the end. And it functions by firing energy blasts that get bigger and more dangerous the more danger she is in. And then you have Shei, this one, voiced by Mamiko Noto, a very quiet, ditzy girl who can't see without her glasses, kind of an airhead type. She's very much the kind, big sisterly type. And she wields an Imperial arms called Slice All Ecstasy that looks like a giant pair of scissors. Lubbock is the requisite male pervert character, but he actually harbors a secret crush for the boss of the group. And he is he wears an, alright, I thought I saw something. I hope this is not an issue. But anyway, so Lubbock, he has what are basically wires. He has sort of claw-like implements on his hands. And he, basically, you could think of it as like a garrote, a mad, crazy garrote that he can use any way he wants. Bulat, this dude, is the big, hulking, manly dude who likes other dudes, but which is a little uncomfortable at first. But Tatsumi adopts him as Aniki, as his big bro, and he wears what's called the Demon Armor Incursio. And then Agenda is the group leader. She is a former general who worked with Esdith before they came to blows, at which point she lost her arm and eye. And she originally wielded Pumpkin and passed it on to Mine. Later on, she gets a living Imperial arms named Susanoo, who is... I thought there was a picture of him, but I guess maybe not. Susano, I guess not. And he joins the group at the same time as the newest member, Chelsea, who has a transformation Imperial arm. It's called Phantasmagoria Gaia Foundation. It's basically a makeup kit that she can use to become anything she wants. Sort of a shapeshifter sort of thing. Awesome for info collection and that sort of thing. And then they are up against the Empire. The Empire with the Emperor and Minister Honest. I love that name, Honest. That guy is such a sleaze. Huge sleaze. And the Emperor is a little kid who's being led around by the nose by this dude. The Emperor is played by Yo Taichi, and the Honest is played by Koji Ishii. And then you've also got, let's see here. Then you have the 3B. Wait, this is a really strange setup. I thought it would have some of the villains. Oh, the villains must be in book second series. Huh. Yeah, okay. Okay. Here we go. I hadn't actually looked in the Black Book. Warning, spoiler alert. There you go. The second series has the Black Book. So we're going to look at the villains now. And let's see here. The main villain is Esdeath. Esdeath is the general, one of the main generals for the Empire. She works under orders from Honest, but really she does what she wants in some ways. She is loyal to the Empire mainly because they let her do what she likes to do, which is killing, torturing, just generally being a badass, but not in a good way. That is Esdeath's MO. She came from a brutal tribe to the north. Her father trained her that only the strong survive. And he trained her so well that on his deathbed, he wondered what had become of her. And she has what's called the Demon God Manifestation Demon's Extract. She actually drank an entire urn of blood from a magical beast, which gives her complete control over ice. She is basically Iceman, but with no scruples. You know, worse than when Emma Frost was in Iceman's body. I mean, worse. I mean, she is absolutely, like, she's worse than Sub-Zero. She's that sort of character, but imagine that character who is as cold as their power. But on the other hand, she does have an element to her. She falls head over heels for Tatsumi. And it really does make an interesting character. I really think so. She has three characters known as the Three Beasts, who are her adjutants, her right-hand people. Daidara, Liver, and Yao. There are these three here. Daidara is voiced by Henri Katz. Nyao is Hitomi Nabatame, and Liver is Joji Nakada. Incidentally, Esdeath is voiced by Satomi Akasaka. Daidara wields an axe called the double-bladed broadaxe Belvark. Nyao wields a flute called Military Music Dream Scream. And Liver has a ring called Water Dragon Possession Black Marine, which basically lets him do what he will with water. It's pretty cool. They come into contact early on with Night Raid, and it leads to the death of a Night Raid member and all three of the three beasts. Prior to that, though, a Night Raid member had come into contact with a young lady named Seru Ubiquitous. She had met Tatsumi previously. She has this weird little dog that goes with her that she calls Koro. But he is actually a Imperial Arms called Magical Beast Transformation Hekatonicher, a.k.a. Koro. She is a justice freak to the nth degree. The problem is she does not very well differentiate what true justice is or who she should be following. She is certifiably insane.
Maniacal laugh. Maniacal laugh. Maniacal laugh. Maniacal laugh.
And she, originally you think of her as this very sweet, kind girl who's a justice freak. But she is the first in the series to murder a member of Night Raid. She is involved in the brutal murder of another member. She is a nasty piece of work. And, but she seems so nice, you know? And it's just, it's one of the interesting things of the series is that, you know, the characters are complicated and what have you. She gets incorporated after the loss of the three beasts. Esdeath puts together a special unit known as the Jaegers, the Hunters, and Seiryu is involved is invited to join this group, along with this guy, Wave, voiced by Yoshimasa Hosoya, who is basically Tatsumi's foil. He wields Carnage Incarnate Grand Chariot, which is almost the exact foil for the Imperial Arms that Tatsumi inherits. And Wave is a decent guy. He's a soldier. That's it. He is a soldier. He is loyal to the Empire. That is it. He is loyal to the Empire. He does things he would prefer not to because he is loyal to the Empire. And he also falls for Kurome, who is Akame's younger sister. And that's a very interesting and twisted plot there. The two of them were both raised to be assassins, but they were raised in different squads, different methodologies. Kurome wields a different blade, known as the March of the Dead Yatsufusa, which allows her to resurrect and use as her puppets people who have died by her blade. And these are some of the puppets that she has. And also we have Rune. Rune, to the best of my knowledge, is one of the biggest changes from the manga. I understand that his fate was very, very different, but he is sort of a cipher, and I don't know how much of his explanation in the anime is from the anime and how much is from the manga. But he is played by Junji Majima, and he has 1,000-mile flight, Matsema, which are basically angel wings. You could almost think of him as Archangel, because he can fly super fast, and he throw his feathers like blades. Then you have Dr. Stylish. Ken Narita plays him. He has gloves that are called Glorious Hands of God Perfector, and he is a mad scientist. And he is also, unfortunately, regrettably, one of the weakest links in this series. He is a deeply offensive, you pretty much call him a gay stereotype, but a very, very offensive one. And it's unfortunate. It's fortunate that Stylish doesn't get much screen time. Small spoiler there. But he is could have done without him. Bowles was interesting. Bowles looks scary as hell. But he has an absolutely lovely wife and daughter. And he is the domestic in the group. He cooks for the Jaegers. He does housekeeping. He is a former executioner who wields a ginormous flamethrower called Invitation to Purgatory, Rubicante. And he is a pyro. but he's a very sweet, decent guy, and he's actually one of the nicer members of the Jaegers, which again, I really like that kind of juxtaposition. And then the last one I want to two last ones I want to mention, if we can find them. Sura, Honest Son. Twisted individual. His design looks like a ripped off Scar from Full Metal Alchemist. Played by Ryohei Kimura, and he has dimensional formation Shambhala, which basically he can transport people, he can teleport people. And then you have Great General Budo, who's played by Hosumi Goda, and he has the Thunder God's Rage, Adramelech, which he is a lightning dude. He can do stuff with thunder and lightning. So that's my quick rundown of the characters, and again, there were some spoilers peppered throughout. I try not to go too into detail, because even if you don't mind mild spoilers, you probably still want some of the surprise that actually comes with watching. It's a really, really fun show in a lot of ways, but it's also a sad show, and it does make you think about the nature of war, the nature of conflict. It does make you think about what really makes a villain, what really makes a murderer. You know, what there's a part early on where the various individuals of Night Raid are trying to get Tatsumi to join their cause, and he won't do it until Najenda basically says something that triggers something in his mind, and he goes, "You're assassins for justice." And I was like, I love that concept, but I also love the idea that clicked into his brain, and everyone else looks at him like, not really. But in a way, they kind of are. And it's really neat that you have these two groups of assassins who both think they're in the right. They're both great foils for each other. The anime does end kind of, sort of, almost where you would predict, except that I will say one thing. They pulled a big surprise in the last couple episodes. I thought it was a big surprise because it broke almost all the rules of typical storytelling. I'm not going to say anything beyond that. Just be prepared that there's going to be at least one big surprise in the last couple episodes. Other than that, I strongly recommend the show. I do recommend the first half is a little more solid than the second half. That probably has to do partly with a greater fidelity to the manga. I don't know. That's often the case. But this is a really good show. If you like bloody action anime, especially ones that make you think, it's definitely worth checking out. I like how the two sets have a combined picture of Night Raid there on the side. And again, you know, that's kind of, it's not too big of a spoiler that Tatsumi joins Night Raid, you know. But anyway, really good show. Again, Ikomuzume was a really good show. I really do hope that I don't have any issues with getting this video uploaded. I saw something that made me wonder. I really hope this works out. I don't get too many opportunities to film. I do appreciate if it did, and you're still here, you're still watching. I really do appreciate you watching. I am very much enjoying my run through of these Sentai sets, and I'm really looking forward to some of the ones that are coming up. And I had a lot to say about these. I have a lot to say about Amage Brilliant Park, so next video I do, you can look forward to that probably, hopefully, in the next week or so. Hopefully. But I definitely appreciate you watching. Like, subscribe, you know, check out my other videos with Septum, and the occasional solo ones. This is labeled Anime Corner number 3 because I did one previous video on this channel. I technically did one on my hub pages, and that's why the numbering started the way it did. Check out the hub pages account, Kotobukijake. Anyway, I don't maintain it very often, but there's some interesting stuff on there. But anyway, again, thanks for watching. Bye. Hello again. This is a quick little addendum. I made a goof earlier. I forgot a couple things I wanted to include in my video. I just want to include them real quick. I forgot to talk about the songs in Squid Girl. Shinryaku no Susume, is by a group calling itself Ultra Prism with Ikomusume. In other words, Hisako Kanemoto in the role of Ikomusume. That is the opening theme to the first series, and it's a lot of fun. It's very catchy. The opening theme to the OVAs is also by Ultra Prism, and it's called Let's Shinyaku Time. In other words, it's time to invade. The closing themes to both the first season and the OVAs are by Kanai Ito, the voice actress for Sanai. The closing theme for the first series is Metamerism, and the second one, there's two of them, Puzzle and Mazer's Dream. All of them are kind of wistful and sad, and it makes sense for the stalker calling, whatever. The closing theme to the second series is by Hisako Kanemoto, aka Ikomusume. She sings Kimi o Shirokoto. All the enders are really nice. The openers, I'm not blown away by the opener to the OVA, but it's not bad. I might get used to it with time. The opener to the first series was really nice, but it's more catchy than awesome. I always liked the opener to the second season, and this I wanted to mention because it made me aware of something that I had not been fully aware of. High Powered is a fun song, but it's by a group called Sphere. This group consists of Minako Kotobuki, Ayahi Takagaki, Haruka Tomatsu, and Aki Toyosaki. All VAs, all pretty well-known VAs, Seiyu, however you want to call it. They got together and formed an idol group that has actually toured and recorded openings for multiple anime. And another one that I found that they did was the opener to Cat Planet Cuties. And I like that song. That was a good song. But I had no idea. This is basically sort of like a voice actress supergroup or whatever, kind of like Doko back in the 90s. But Doko was culled entirely from the cast of Ranma and Half. This one, I'm not sure what the origin is, but I need to look into that. But it's interesting to note that Sphere, they have that origin. And one last I want to say about Akame ga Kill. I cannot believe I forgot to talk about Aka Kill Theater. There are a series of shorts that come with the series. Season 1 or Section 1 or however you want to call it. The shorts for that one go with at the end of the disc. And the same thing with the second season. I kind of wish that they played... they probably played either before or after each individual episode. Probably after, because most of them contain spoilers for the episode. A lot of them do. They're very fun, short little shorts. They're maybe 2 minutes at the most. Most of them are probably a lot shorter than that. They vacillate between being barely animated and being decently animated. And they're comedy. A little comedy. They're sort of a palate cleanser. Kind of like Tachikomatic Days was with the Ghost in the Shell standalone complex series. These, unlike Tachikomatic Days, they change up the cast a lot. They feature, at one point or another, most of the major cast members. And they're mostly pretty fun. There is a little more fan service in here than there is in the series proper. But it's played for laughs, and half of it's Chiba form, and it's purely played for laughs. But there are a few episodes where the Aka Kill Theater goes beyond mere comedy. And I don't want to give away spoilers, but let's just say when you have gotten to the end of the series, that last episode of Aka Kill Theater, it's really nice. It's kind of a nice, I would almost say it's a very sweet way to end the series. It's again, a great palate cleanser, but it actually adds to the series, which I got to admit is not always the case with these kind of little shorts. So I really meant to talk about Akakill Theater before, and I feel sorry that I didn't. But anyway, this is a nice little add-on. You guys stuck with me this far, that far. I hope you're fine with this last little bit. And once again, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and look forward to further reviews of these Sentai premium sets. You can see a couple more right there waiting to come soon. Alright, look forward to it. Happy viewing.